really love that is how it kicks on. The doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I mean, I don't think we could ask for anything better there. Lauren Jones, how the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm back home for a week, and then I'm gone again, and then again.
Arizona, here we come.
A little bit of Arizona.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Rob Mann. I'm the co-host, and I guess I'm the founder of the YOE Experience Podcast. With me, I have the ever effervescent Miss Lauren Jones, or Mrs. Lauren Jones. Doing her little, her what is that? Her striped shirt dance over there. It's a very fancy shirt. I'm glad we both decided it wasn't Blazer episode anymore.
I like Blazer episode.
The Blazer episode. Yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. Anyway. Welcome everybody. We're going to cover the news for the staffing industry. We're going to talk about AI and automation like we always do. After this, I actually have to go on a call and teach people about automation. It's going to be very fun. Always look forward to that. And yeah, we are your hosts for this wonderful gathering. Lauren, let's kick it off with what we always do in What's New.
What is new? Okay, so I attended for the first time the healthcare, SIA's healthcare staffing conference. Normally, I attend a different conference every year, so there's been a conflict for the last few years. And this year, I just decided kind of last minute to try something new. And it was fantastic. It was really good. I know you've told me that for a few years that I need to go. And again,
first time in 5 years or however many years since
I know. Yeah. And I have, I have chosen another conference. And like I said, this time I decided to do something new. It was fantastic. The content was really good. There was a former Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar was there. And, given that it was just very, very post-election, it was really fascinating to hear him talk about some of the most consequential changes, how healthcare is being delivered today, what may or may not change, as we come into this new administration. He was fascinating. So I found that I think everybody kind of went in there with sort of bated breath. And everybody kind of came out smiling. So it was pretty nice.
That sounds refreshing.
Yeah, it was very refreshing. As you can imagine, Trump has a very different style, and he likes to speak directly with people. He doesn't like going through people. I think that many people could imagine that with him, which was very interesting to hear how much more they were able to get accomplished, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, it's just very, very interesting to hear all of these things. We were looking at trends. So I attended a couple of the sessions on AI and credentialing. There's a lot of talk about credentialing and obviously a lot of talk about platforms. And of course, embracing AI, all AI. There was a complete and total track on AI. So it was a really good conference. It was very, very informative. And the people were amazing. All healthcare people, but it was like this, it was a very intimate staffing world, I guess, if I were to put, but there were, 1,200 people there.
The healthcare people are usually pretty nice. They like to help people and make money. It's a great combination.
Yeah, it was great. And, had a couple of great lunches, great dinners, got to meet with a few clients. So it was highly productive. And again, the content, a shout out to Ursula and the whole SIA team, because it was very, very well done. And again, the keynotes were amazing.
Love it. Well, I got to go to Atlanta and have a great time talking about sales with some of the IT staffing firms that I actually used to support when I worked at Bullhorn and then at Hairfish. But then, I'm still supporting them, but not as directly. And then got to connect with a bunch of people in healthcare staffing because obviously there's a spaceship in Alpharetta that dominates the staffing world in Jackson Healthcare. And so some of those folks came along. But it was really interesting to talk more about this idea that people don't know how to sell. I mean, it's not really complicated, right? It's like recruiting. You find good people, you put them in jobs, right? Like, let's not make it too crazy. But selling as a function of just not picking up the phone or dropping off donuts and getting job orders because you did that,
Right.
a little different. It's a little bit more of a muscle to flex. You do, like, obviously if you get referred in, it's easier. Curating a selling experience could be nice. Telling them what you solve and why they should work with you, also important. And it was just kind of interesting to see, like, I kind of mimicked the conversations that I was having at Staffing World when I ran a roundtable for sales, and asking, like, hey, do you use case studies? Like, does your team know how to use case studies in their selling process? No idea. Okay, that's a problem. Do they know how to use content that you create in the sales process? No, we don't create content. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a problem too. And so just kind of like going through these motions. Oh, and then do you have like a sales strategy? Even if you don't follow it to a T, like, do you have a medic? Are you a challenger sales organization? Do you gap sell? Do you spice? Like what? Like, and they were like, their head exploded for that one. By the way, it was. Yeah, and I just found it so fascinating, right? Like, we're beyond this just picking up the phone and be like, hey, do you want to buy an ETS? Or, hey, I have candidates. Like, everyone has candidates. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, maybe not, but like, you know what I mean? And so it was just very fascinating to continue that conversation and really try to dive into, like, hey, you should be talking to every candidate that you've ever, like, if a candidate got to an interview stage, whether they took the job or not, you got to be talking to them, finding out what was well, what went wrong. That's all content. That's all marketing. Any like client that you used to work with or that you are working with, you should talk to them. Like, if your marketing team doesn't talk to your customers, you are not doing a very good job.
Right. Yes. Great. Even Reese Witherspoon directly calls her people for Draper James, and she'll just come into the call center and randomly talk to clients that are calling in. She wants feedback. I don't think as an executive, you know that I do that myself. I'll check in with customers just very randomly and see how things are going. I don't think you're running a good firm if you're not just constantly looking for small little opportunities. If I have 5 minutes, I'm going to send an email to someone that I haven't heard from in a little while to make sure that I'm staying close to things. And I think and like we've told people before, told leaders before, if you're an agency owner and you haven't gone through your hiring experience this year, why? What does that look like? What does it feel like? And there were two things that I heard sort of coming in and then coming out of healthcare. First, I was really looking for signs of either optimism or, because we've said for a while, like, once we're on the heels of this election, we're either going to see the yay or nay kind of temperature check in the market. And I saw a lot of optimism, which made me feel really good. That there was just really optimism about, okay, now we can kind of take a breath and move forward. It felt like everybody was holding their breath, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, I think
about
the election being
regardless
done was,
about.
I mean, again,
I think that more than anything was like just
political advertisements or text messages for the next 2 months.
Correct, exactly. Oh my gosh, the spam on my phone, it's bananas. But yeah, it just seemed like everybody sort of just breathed a sigh of relief. But there is still this gnawing on the heels of our industry, at the back of our heads in the industry, about this idea of replacement theory, right? That inevitably we will be replaced. Now, here's what I will say: we have to be acutely aware, and I'm pivoting. We haven't even talked about this, but I'm pivoting just a little bit and looking at product that goes to direct employer. They are being fed a significant amount of technology that will create independence, potentially. And so what I want to understand is, what are they being fed? How do we, from a relationship perspective, how do we combat that? I'm always trying to kind of think a little bit forward about not how do we justify our existence, because I think we're a long way off of that conversation, but my view of our industry has been that we maintain the humanity in what is a very inhumane, type process, right? And so how do we continue to honor that? I think is what I, with in the light of all of this technology. So there is those types of gnawing conversations of relevancy, and I am very interested as I sort of dive into some of this HR tech and direct employer tech. What do they got that we don't got?
No, it's probably the right question to ask. Because I think to your point, right? Like, I mean, unless you're working at a big company, HR people don't have time to do actual recruiting. It's a very different function. But if AI can take over, that's a problem. That's right. That's kind of where the gap is, right? Scale conversations, scale outreach, scale, passive recruiting, using AI, like then staffing is a different issue. And recruiting is, staff recruiting is an issue.
Right. So. And spoiler alert to all the software out there. The answer is not going to be just building a customer portal for self-service. That is not the answer. It is much more than that. What do you mean? It is much more than that. Spoiler alert.
The answers are in the computer.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, it was a really interesting week last week.
It was an interesting week. That's a great way to put it. Anyway.
Well, I hope I'm not keeping you awake, Rob. It's called having a 5-month-old
is teething and yelling at us at 3 a.m. that she's very unhappy with her teeth. We're definitely doing it. Yeah. Anyway, so by the way, I was doing like some digging and I found like an old McKinsey report from 20. So one of the new things I found interesting was this McKinsey report that I have a link to in here. Hold on. You can grab it if you want. Oh, wait, I didn't put it in. Hold on. Let me grab it and make it a QR code for us. But I found it interesting that, well, I don't know, from a business perspective and from a AI lover perspective, it's fascinating how much electricity that these things eat, right?
Oh, have you heard the nuclear conversation?
Well, yeah, it's like, like here's the report. It's not the one that you actually have to enter anything into. It's actually just a link to the report. So you're welcome for not giving your email address to McKinsey, because I downloaded a Slack report and some dummy from Slack just called me from their sales team. And I'm like, I'm already a customer twice. Don't call me. So silly.
I'll call you.
That's how software is purchased now, isn't it? Yeah. But like, as we were logging into the call, like this guy, like my cell phone rang and I'm like, I don't know who that is. It's from a salesperson from Slack being like, you downloaded a report. No. Anyway. So yeah, check that out. But I found lots of talk about renewables, lots of talk about electricity, and just how much people have to, like, Amazon invested a couple $100 million into a firm that was buying nuclear power plants because they need to power like their AI engines, and it's insane.
Yeah, we don't have enough. Yeah, it's very funny. We were talking to Allison, my youngest, who's in law school, and she goes, "Mom, people have this perception that, oh my gosh, it's like the Jetsons in California. You guys are just solar powered everything," and we're like, yeah. We don't have enough. We don't have enough grid to support that. It's wonderful that our politicians want to do all of that, but we do not have enough infrastructure to support that. We already have brownouts during peak season. So it was really interesting to hear nuclear be a part of the conversation. It's significantly safer today. It's very efficient. It's not as hard on the environment, and if we do it in these micro plants, it's much safer, which I find fascinating, because what I didn't know though was how much energy AI took. I had no idea how much energy.
Chips are hungry. They're hungry hippos.
They are hungry little hippos. I would tell you that. But yes, it takes. Google just invested in a nuclear plant.
That's what I'm saying. Like they and Amazon did too, where they're investing in companies that are going to revitalize these old plants. So.
Yeah, I think it's smart, and I think it's
eventually we'll get our own little nuclear, handheld powers little energy projector or energy creators. But we can always just keep praying for fusion. I've been praying for fusion since I played SimCity as a kid. Remember that? Did you play SimCity?
It's coming. It's coming. Elon will gonna get us to Mars, and that'll help.
Probably need fusion to get there, but hopefully we'll get there. Anyway, so I thought it was super interesting. Go check out that report. 15 trends that were like the big ones. This was in July, so it's fairly relevant. And it gave you like how much money in billions was invested, which was super cool. Only $9 billion in future of space technology versus like $62 billion by equity invested in bioengineering, or the future of mobility, $83 billion. So like you kind of get an idea of how much private equity is dumping into these technologies as well. So super cool. Kind of a good way to look at it.
I will also tell you, PE is sniffed out our industry. There's significant PE money coming into,
and they're looking for efficiencies too.
They are looking for efficiencies, and the questions that we're getting asked, because as an advisory firm, we're approached by a lot of them. Let me tell you guys, and I'm doing a session on this at TechServe. Your tech stack and your multiplier. Your evaluation, it does make an impact. And if you think it doesn't, you've got your head in the sand. You're also probably an AI denier, but
fighting words in Lauren's
it
world.
makes
Lauren
it,
just
I know, right? Fighting words in my world. You're the 4% AI denier. But yeah, it does make an impact. PE firms are getting wise to it, and they're asking the right questions, as they should.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have your proverbial blank together if you want to get acquired or invested in. So get your
shiznit. You gotta get your shiznit together.
GYST. Pretty young thing. Anyway, all right. The other one I found super interesting was this Slack survey that they gave to engineers. One quote in particular was super fascinating, LJ. Let me find it where I wrote it down. And then the reason why this was fascinating was I'll tell you in a second. But on average, desk workers report spending 33% of their time at work on tasks that are low value, repetitive, or lack meaningful contribution to their core job functions. So 33% is just admin useless crap that they do. The more time an employee spends on low value work, the more excitement they express for AI and automation to handle tasks from their current job. So we've been predicting that all the admin stuff is going to be handled by AI. And if you got to prepare, like if you at very least learn how generative works, learn how all the admin tasks are going to be using AI to correct them. At Glide, so one of the companies that I guess we as Leap consult with and advise with, they find 50% of recruiters' activities lead to zero ROI, including like posting the job boards, filtering through resumes. Like all of this stuff generates no revenue or return on investment or return on human hour, right, is what I want to call it. So somewhere between 30 and 50% of your employees' time is not generating value.
What I have been saying from the beginning, and it doesn't matter if you're a cop, a doctor, an engineer, there is a part of your job that requires manual, repetitious task. So for example, they're leveraging AI to help more efficiently write police reports. Think about how much more efficient our police can be in solving crimes or serving the community if they're not bogged down by all of these reports. They quite literally are taking information from body cams, taking the transcription from said body cams, being able to put all of that information in these digital files. That's wildly more effective than the regurgitation of these interactions in the field, on paper. And so, and then doctors, same thing. There are these repetitious things that they're doing in their patient exams or what have you that have traditionally taken a tremendous amount of their day that will allow them to be more effective. And what I would hope on the medical side is that they can have more meaningful patient interactions, right? As opposed to being, getting their bonuses based on how many people they shove through the funnel in a day. We can change medicine from an incentive perspective to not how many, but how much can I resolve? How well can I cure? Those types of things. So I'm really interested to see. I think AI will. influence all of those things in a really positive way, because there's so much manual labor that goes into a role, from from the most menial administrative tasks all the way up to top executive tasks.
Yep. Because no one likes to do invoicing, right, Lauren? Anyway,
no,
it's like a project.
It's a bane of my existence.
All right. The other thing I found interesting in the Slack report is 90% of software engineers who have used AI tools at work, so people are using AI, 90% say the technology is already improving their productivity. They do a lot more complicated thing than your staffing person or your employee that's entering data from a resume. They also said the top 3 uses among AI for software engineers: automating workflows, which everyone can do; writing assistants, which most people are doing. That's kind of the big hairy animal that is what people are using AI for right now. And then generating code is the other one. So automating workflows, writing assistants, and code generation. You could probably replace, so the first 2, automating workflows, writing assistants, every business could take advantage of. You could probably replace code generation with something like search and match, like making the match easier, or writing, even like writing more personalized emails by having better data in the system. I've been doing a lot of research on all those new like go-to-market tools, Lauren.
Yep.
And I'm going to bring one to you soon, but like I was doing research yesterday, and it's like a glorified Excel file that can just naturally pull data out of the cloud. So you could say, hey, find me all the companies in this address and this industry. Okay, find me all the descriptions from their websites and pull them into the table. Okay, take those descriptions and use AI to write an email. And go find the CEO and their email address, and then use the description that you pulled down, the new like X news article and Y, and invite them to dinner and find restaurants nearby too, and put up a list. Like it's just like you're just basically creating like a different line in Excel file, but you're just pulling it down from different parts of the web. Yeah. And my brain was like, well, that's how HubSpot is writing an individual email sequence for each person who downloads content from their website. And that's the workflow. And I was like, I watched a YouTube video on it, and I was like, oh, anyone can do this. Because like if you're a salesperson in any industry, and you're going to a conference, you want to get there a day early, you just basically do that workflow. Hey, find me the best restaurants in this area, get the corporate address, get the summary of what they do, get the CEO, go look for the CEO on a podcast, and go create an email.
Amazing.
And like it was like he was doing it in like probably took like an hour, but like he was doing it in like a 6-minute video. This person that was demoing it, and my brain was like, personalization at scale.
Yes.
So
pretty incredible to watch. Pretty incredible to watch. Like it again, I as I said in that my talk at Staffing World, we are Staffing World. We are at that moment in time where we can take our little SIM chip and move it over in real time, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. So, all right. With that said, let's move to the Bullhorn SIA indicator.
Okay.
Which is what we do every week. We look at the indicator. And for U.S. staffing in general, year over year, we're still down 7%, which seems to be the norm. However, week over week from last week, U.S. staffing in general is up 1.6%. Boom. Nice.
Boom.
Commercial staffing is down 5% from year over year, but they're also up 1.7%. This is by the week. This is not the week. This is not election week, which was last week. It was 2 weeks ago, by the way. So we're talking about the week of like 10/26. And then professional staffing, Lauren, year over year, still down negative, still down 15%. Which
I'm sorry, guys.
It actually lost 3 points since the last time we looked 2 weeks ago.
I know.
But they're up week over week 1%. So I guess they were down 16 last week when we weren't tracking this, but now they're up 1. So
okay, well, at least we had good news to give to them.
Silver lining? No.
Silver lining? Greenish? Yeah, sorry,
really,
guys.
Not very silvery. Anyway, but hey, let's keep that upward trend, because we've seen U.S. staffing in general over the course of the last month, that we've been like maybe 6 weeks that we've been reporting consistently. It's been up a point or a point something. You know what I mean? So we're not too far down. Anyway, so that is the indicator. Thank you to our friends over at Bullhorn and our friends at Staffing Industry Analyst. The other thing too is if you haven't checked out, maybe since we're talking about Bullhorn for a second here, if you haven't checked out the 2024 Talent Trends Report that we had focused on last episode with the interview of Nicole Kerensky from Bullhorn, you should check out that episode and also check out the report. It is always helpful. People are not afraid of using AI if it improves the experience, so get off your asses. Did I say that succinctly enough for you, Lauren?
You did. It's very succinct and very direct, and I appreciate it more than you know.
All right, cool. All right. So with that said, I'll let Lauren handle the featured technology, which is Protoscore.
So Protoscore. So I'm really excited about this one, guys. And as a matter of fact, it's another one of those where Leap is looking to leverage it as an add-on to our services. So, as many of you know, we're advisors. We come in and we blueprint the business from an operational perspective. This will allow us to come in and blueprint productivity as well. So not only can we come in now and we go through all your business processes, we blueprint the business, we look for efficiencies in those business processes through conversations, reverse demos, meeting with your team members, talking with front, mid, back office, the operation, the communications teams, the IT teams. We come in, we do all of that. But Protoscore will allow you to visualize how employees interact. It will allow
with
you
the systems that they're using.
So they've got these beautiful visual dashboards, and so it's much like a digital adoption platform. It's layered on top of whatever system you're using, whether it's Tracker or Bullhorn, whatever ATS system you're using, will allow you to visualize how employees interact with the tools. It will allow you to set benchmarks and in effectively boosting recruiter effectiveness and productivity. It'll allow you to streamline teams, collaborate, allow managers to look at different team members. Again, that whole idea of benchmarking, where you've got one star performer that's doing all of these amazing things, but what are they doing? Now we can actually blueprint what your best employee is doing. We can actually blueprint where maybe you have your employees with the most opportunity, and allow them to really see and meet their full potential. The dashboards, I will say this, UI is really important to me.
Lauren gets excited about dashboards.
I get excited about dashboards, but I'm constantly looking for software. We do a lot of advising to software, and what Rob and I and the whole team are perpetually challenging software to do is in real time show your ROI. If a partner vendor cannot demonstrate or tell you what metric they move, run for the hills, right? And so this idea that you could leverage something like this with your teams in real time and look at efficiency and effectiveness, I think is super, super valuable. So we're really excited about Protoscore, again, looking at partnering with them as a Leap add-on so we could come in and not only blueprint the business, but blueprint the productivity, because those things are really hand in hand. If we can improve them simultaneously, you run the advantage of being able to realize the effectiveness of an optimization exercise in much more quickly.
Lauren, as someone who has no hills in their state or within like 1,000 miles, probably like 400 miles of me, I don't feel seen by you by telling you to run to the hills. What if I wanted to run to the ocean? Anyway, no, you're right. I think the benchmark. Sorry.
Just run in general.
Run.
The ocean. Take a long walk upshore pier.
There's a fantastic. So I told you, quick story. 2019, I went to Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the songs of they have the Carnival songs for the year. One of them basically was like pick up something and run. Mm-hmm. And they had to stop playing it at all the parties because people would literally do it. And that just reminded me of that. And so Mandy and I, whenever we are joking about someone doing something foolish, we bring up that song. So I'll play it for you one day. It's absolutely hysterical. Just picking up like random objects in a bar and running around with them. But that's what you just said. So I'm on a tangent. I'm tangential, if you will. But Protoscore, you guys, what you need to do, yeah, you totally missed your camera. What you guys, that's not very, Lauren, it's not helpful. We'll get better images next time. It's going to, we always see adoption and training issues, right? We see a gap in training. We don't know what we don't know what your team doesn't know that they're supposed to be doing. Correct. And this helps us answer that question. Because we you could have a technology gap, you could have a training gap, but I would say we have 4 gaps that we always identify. We try to identify in customers when we work with them. The number one that is always consistent is there's always a training gap.
Always a training gap.
So, and shout out to the companies that don't have one, but those companies are investing in change management more than you think. But training gap is a huge one, and things like ProtoScore allow us and you as leadership to understand where your investment is being utilized best or not. And then if we need to use it, how do we train to it, and how do we metric it and benchmark to make sure that it does get used?
There's 3 things every leader needs to have come February, right? After they've done their SCO, after they've done their planning, after they've done all of these things, they need to have their financial forecasts and goals. They need to have their technology roadmap, and that technology roadmap should be aligned to a change roadmap. That training roadmap, that change roadmap is your training roadmap. And if you don't have those 3 things, you are flying blind. You're running into the year with end goals and no tangible way to communicate how you're going to get there other than activity equals results. What kind of activity equals the right result?
Yeah, the right results are more valuable than results.
Correct.
All right. Well, now that we've talked about ProtoScore and I got to talk about Carnival, which makes me happy. I had 2 other AI technologies I wanted to talk about. So I don't know if you guys have checked out Notebook LM recently. It's a Google thing. But basically you can make, I think we talked about this with one of our podcast guests a long time ago. We could basically upload every transcript of the podcast and create a AI bot that you can ping. Probably should do that for our staffing friends, but that would require me downloading all of the transcripts and putting them in, and probably should pay someone to do that. Can we pay our new AI, our new assistant to do that for us if I give her access?
Yes, you can.
That'd be a much better use of $20 an hour time versus mine. God. And then the other one that I really liked that I was interested in is something called writer.com and the Writer Studio. Did you check that out yet?
I haven't yet, but I've heard of it.
Knowledge base, basically like the first use case that they talk about is putting your knowledge base into an AI, but you just click to add it. The API connectivity between these things are pretty strong, and then you just say, hey, I want to program a chatbot that pings my knowledge base to answer customer questions. Lots of and but the important thing about the writer one versus having to program that yourself is it creates all the you can basically store thousands of files in Google Drive or somewhere, and then it automatically creates the API connection to call upon all that knowledge. So it's really the connectivity that is the ease of creation, I guess, of a chatbot or a knowledge chatbot or whatever chatbot you want. So the ability to connect these tools natively without having to use having to develop APIs or having somebody else have to develop APIs is, I think, probably the most exciting part for me in the last 6 months. All these different tools are just connected already.
Yeah, I mean, this idea that you could, let's say, Zapier to Monday to said ATS, you can, well, just like Zapier's writer, right? Zapier is leveraging AI so that you can say, if this happens in Monday, I want this to go to this field and this, and it's setting up the API integration between Monday and Bullhorn or what have you. There's going to be so much opportunity here to do some pretty incredible things here. My latest one is called you'll have to check it out. Excuse me. Is SketchWow.
Spelled like it's
spelled like it sounds. One word. And yeah, if you can believe it, it is.
I like it. I know what you're using this for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's my latest toy that I am playing with.
I love it.
I know, right?
I have to go play with this. It's pretty
Yes.
cool, guys.
Guys, we are the biggest nerds in the whole world.
We do a lot of research, so you don't have to. You're welcome.
Yes.
But yeah. All right. Well,
we've got some new ones that I'm checking out this week. One of them, Conquest, for commissions. Yeah.
Is that the commission one out of the UK?
Yep. It's we've got a couple customers on it. They're very, very happy. Alpha Run is a new one that's two twins. That's pretty incredible. Atlas. There's some new ones that
Atlas was pretty cool.
Yeah, Atlas is really
the UI wasn't my favorite yet, but it's definitely it could be.
UI is so important today. It's the cherry on top.
That was the only thing I said to them. I was like, yeah,
the cherry on top, guys. So
you can tell we look at a lot of technology when we're like that nitpicky. We're like, everything else is really cool. That does not look good.
Yeah, we are super spoiled because we do get to do this for a living. But we have some new tech coming your way, guys. There's so much beautiful creativity going on. So excited to share all of these things with you. So stay tuned.
Well, LJ, let's cut it there. It was a great episode. We will.
If you do say so yourself.
Maybe we'll see you guys next week in person because Lauren and I will both be in Phoenix, or we'll be in Scottsdale doing fancy things. It's almost like John Mulaney says what you do in Connecticut. Do you know what you do in Connecticut, Lauren, according to John Mulaney, the comedian?
Cocaine?
Kind of white people things. This is a bad guess. All right, there you go. Well, not that cocaine is limited. Sorry. I don't want to exclude anyone from that.
It's John Mulaney. I mean, it was scotch or cocaine
No, he was in Connecticut doing white people things. Come on.
Oh, okay.
It's a great comedy skit, and John Mulaney's skit after he came out of rehab also
hilarious.
What's actually really fascinating about that Netflix special is that there's like a 7 or 10-year-old in the audience. And like he sees him in the balcony, he's like, "You really shouldn't be here."
You really should. Yes, way to parent, guys.
Like, you're my favorite comedian. And he's looking at the parents. He's like, "Lucy, you got some explaining to do." Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
All right, this is fantastic, guys. Let us know if you have any questions about ProtoScore, about any of the AI that you have that you hear us chat about. We'll keep being nerds. You guys keep asking us questions because that just makes us more nerdy. And thanks, Elle.
Make it a good one.
Bye, guys.